Jeremy, really good to see you again. Thank you so much for jumping on my podcast. And we're really excited to kind of change the subject a little bit. This is the Recession Proof Real Estate Investing Podcast. You're in real estate, you do real estate, but really that's not why I had you on. I love what you do. You know, I can see your picture in the background, Optimal Self. Jeremy, thanks so much for being on the show.
Dude, I have been looking forward to this, man. Getting to meet you at the mastermind in Costa Rica and, sitting with you in several little outback, waves crashing, getting to know you and who you are and what you bring to this world. Man, I'm super pumped that we can get together this way and share our lives like this, man. So I appreciate you having me.
Well, yeah, no, pleasure's all mine. So just so people understand how we met, I mean, this is a little bit of a change up. Usually I've got these guys that are taking down big deals. All we talk about is real estate, but I really try to bring in self-development. And when I presented in Costa Rica, which is where we met, I was asked to talk about real estate, but I talked about building a team and improving myself to be able to withstand some personal challenges that happened last year and challenges with my team and the deals we're doing. And I loved listening to what you have to say. I mean, you're such a passionate guy, but let's go back to the beginning. Let's talk about where you came from. Two-sport professional athlete. First one was baseball, right?
Yep. So yeah, really that was my life. My mom will tell you when I came out of the womb, man, I was, my first word was baseball. Like you couldn't get me off the field. I loved every ounce of it. If I'm completely honest with everybody listening is I wasn't the best kid. I wasn't big. I wasn't fast. I wasn't stronger than everybody else. Actually, I was the opposite. I was this little frail. I mean, I grew 2.5 inches after high school. To kind of give you an idea, I wrestled 98 pounds as a freshman in high school. So 98 pounds, you're not hitting a lot of balls out of the park, right? going in. But I want to be clear, like with everybody, because I think it's relevant to what they're trying to do, whether they're building a real estate portfolio or a business or whatever it is you're in, is that, the one thing that was constant about what I wanted was didn't matter what anybody else thought. There were a lot of people that didn't believe I would make it. And I just wasn't one of them. And it wasn't from failure. I didn't make the all-star teams. I barely made my high school team as a freshman. I didn't play much at all. I got more water than I got at bats, by the time I was a sophomore, so forth and so on. But I'll go back to kind of give people a little bit more context is that when I was 13 years old, our team won the championship and my best friend's dad was the coach. He was also, I went on vacations with him. He was like a dad to me because I didn't have, my birth father was long gone, drug addict.
Wow.
He was long gone, done very, very little, he just never around. So, it is what it is. But this guy he was more of a mentor to me, more like a father figure even. Right. And so here we are, we win the championship. And why that's important is that the coach of the team that wins the championship is the coach of the all-star team. And I'm thinking, nice. Oh man, we just won the championship. I play every game, right? He's like a dad to me. Like I'm for sure making all-stars this year, man. I was so excited to get to the closing ceremony. I knew it. You know what I mean? I just knew that this was my year, man. Mm-hmm. And my name doesn't get called. Right. Oh. And I'm crushed. Come on, you're a 13-year-old boy. Like we were, whatever. Like I was crushed. I was like, oh my God, what, and so you have a little pizza party after, right? We won the championship. We got a trophy and we everybody gets together. And in that place, I walked over to him. I saw him when he was by himself and I walked over to him and I tugged on his shirt and, he looked down at me and said, "Yes, son." And I said, how come you didn't pick me? How come I didn't make all-stars?
Yeah.
And he looked at me dead in the face. Sam, I'm going to tell you right now, I can tell you what I was wearing. I can tell you what he was wearing. I can tell you the smells. I mean, you're talking decades and decades later now, right?
Yeah.
He looked me dead in the eye and he said, "Because you weren't good enough." And I know what that sounds like, right? And be honest, I was crushed. I was like, lost my breath. I was like, I tried to keep it together, And
Yeah.
okay. And I looked away and things started going on, and I walked away from him. I got to where I was by myself. Right. And I started crying, and I ran to the front and I asked the lady if I could use the phone. I need to call my mom. We didn't have cell phones in those days.
Yeah.
And so could I call my mom? And she was like, sorry, you can't. I said, please, it's very important. She could see I was crying. She's like, is everything okay? I go, no, I just need to call my mom. She's like, okay. She hands it over, dials the phone number across because it had a long cord on it. And my mom answers, and I'm like, Mom, can you please come pick me up? And she's like, what's going on? I said, please, please, I'm begging you, just come. She's like, fine, I'm on my way. I didn't even go back in. Walked outside, sat on the curb, just waited for my mom. Car pulled up, man. I hopped into that thing as fast as I could, put my seatbelt on, and just waterworks, man. I mean, at this point now, all of those emotions come out. I can't breathe. My mom is like, what is going on? And I'm like, just go, please just go. And she's just like, I am not moving this car until you tell me what in the hell is going on. What is wrong with you? And, I caught my breath and I told her what happened. And like any mom, I know you're a dad, I'm a dad. Like, she's like, wait, he said what? Right?
Oh no.
She's going in, right? She's like, no one's telling my son he's not good enough. Right. And I'm like, Mom, please. She literally pulls into a parking spot, and I'm like begging, please, Mom, please. That's what I want people to hear. I don't know that my mom doesn't even remember the story, by the way. I've told the story to her, and she's like, I don't remember that, but because it wasn't as paradigm shifting of her life as it was for me. Right.
Right.
And in that moment, she asked me the greatest question that maybe she's ever asked me in the history of my life. And I was crying, and I was telling her, please don't go. And she goes, oh, you don't want me to go in there? You don't want me to go in there? She says, fine. What are you going to do about it?
Wow.
What are you going to do about it? And think about that for a second. And I'm telling you, I say that thing when shit happens in my life to this day, I take a couple deep breaths and I say, okay, all right, that sucked. What are you going to do about it? You're going to sit here and you're going to cry. You're going to sit here and you're going to whine. You're going to blame everybody else, or you're going to do something about it. I still use that to this day. And I want to tell you something. In that moment, calm came over my body. All that emotion, all that, hysteria that was happening, it stopped, and it slowly started to slow down. And in my head, and I heard her say it again, what are you going to do about it? And I was like, oh. And I looked at her and I said, can we please go to Big Five? Those of you guys that are listening from all over the country, it's the massive sporting goods store on the West Coast. I don't know if they're everywhere. Anyways, like Dick's today would be, what the Big Five was back then. And I said, can we go to Big Five? And my mom looks at me and she's like, what? Literally, she says, let me just go get some ice cream. Maybe stop in Toys R Us and get a toy, or Target. You know what I mean? Like appease each other, right? Like, this is what we do to our kids. And I said, no, Mom, can we go to Big Five? And she's like, whatever, like, fine. And we literally drive over there, get out of the car, and we go in. I can still see it again, clear as day. We walk into the baseball section, and all the signs were white that had the prices on there. And there was one sign happens to be yellow, so it's on sale. And I go, Mom, can I have that? $19.99. And she's like, what is that? And I said, it's a batting tee, Mom. Can I have that batting tee? She pulls it down off of there. She hands it to me, and she's like, this is what you want. Like, and I know in her mind, because now I'm a dad, and I know when you give your kids something, you're like, this is going to make you happy. This is going to, like, you're not going to cry anymore and be all upset. Right. And I know that's what she's thinking. So I say, yeah, this is it. We walk over again. She pays for it. $19.99. She's like, hell yeah, $20. And we're good. Let's go. Right.
Nice.
Get home. I ripped that thing open and went out back, found balls around the house. And I started hitting balls off that tee. And I promised myself, I said, I'm going to hit every single day. I'm going to come out here and I'm going to hit 100 balls. Every single day. I was 13 years old. Okay. Wow. Now listen, by the time I was 14, I wasn't that much better. Didn't make all-star. By the time I barely made the high school team, like I told you before, like all these little things that came about. But every day, man, I found new ways to hit. I was hitting balls away and in. Rainy days, I would use tennis balls because they'd soak up the water and it wouldn't ruin my baseballs. I'd go out there in the rain and I'd just rip balls. And I loved seeing the water fly off it. You know what I mean? Like, and I just kept going and kept going and kept going and kept going. By the time I was 18 and I was a senior in high school, I was the MVP of the team. I was an all league player. So I got the patch for my Letterman's jacket, and I made the All Valley All-Star team, the team that everybody dreams of making in that particular area. Because it's not just your little league or whatever, pony league, right? It's all the schools. It's hundreds of schools that fall into this category, right? When they pick 2 teams, and I got picked for that team. They come out and they do a big story on you in the paper, right? Like, but so what I want people to understand and think about this, and how do we equate this to what we're talking about today, is that if I would have went into that thinking, oh, I'm going to hit 100 balls off this, and then I'm going to be some superstar and I'm going to be okay, right? I'm going to make all-stars. Then I would have been fooling myself, right? I probably would have quit because it wouldn't have worked. It wouldn't have worked. And again, we overestimate what we can do in that one session or that 1 year, and we underestimate what we can do in the next 5, the next 10. How do we build something great? So 5 years later, right?
Was it 5 years? That's how long?
Thousands of balls that I hit, did I make that first real true all-star team, right? Wow. And then I got to go on, the only kid out of that school to go to my year to get a scholarship to go play college baseball, and so on and so forth. And years later, 7 of those kids were all my friends, by the way. They weren't not my friends because they made it and I didn't. It wasn't their fault, right? They were still, to this day, most of them are still my friends. Years later, 7 of those dudes plus the coach bought a ticket to come watch me play professional baseball. And we went to dinner that night. It was all fun. It wasn't like, cool. And I told him that story. I said, you changed my life. And I told him that story. He was upset. He was visibly upset. He was like, what? I am so sorry. I can't believe I said that to you. I said, no, please. Yeah. You're the only one that would tell me the truth. He didn't say I wasn't good enough ever.
Right.
He said, right here, right now, you're not good enough. Your skill set, you haven't put in enough time, energy, and effort. You haven't put in that time. And guess what? So check this out. There's 15 kids that make that all-star team. There's 120 kids in that league. There's 10 teams and all, right? So it's not like I'm the only kid that didn't make it. Even if I was the 16th best kid out of 120, I still wasn't good enough for that particular team. There are 15 kids better than me. And if I'm honest, they're right. Those kids were better than me. I wanted a gift. I wanted it because he was like a dad to me. Our team won the championship.
Right.
I didn't fucking earn it. I wanted it given to me. You see the difference? Where in our lives do we do that now? Right? We expect it because, no, man, I hadn't put in the work yet. I hadn't put in those hours. I hadn't hit those balls when nobody was watching. I hadn't gone and run those stairs when nobody else was. I hadn't stayed after practice. I had done the bare minimum and expected this massive all-star great result. Bullshit.
Yeah, you hadn't earned it yet.
Hadn't earned it. But are we willing to earn it? Right? Well, so that's where it all starts,
Yeah, there's 2 really good points I want our listeners to think about. Number 1, you hadn't earned it. You hadn't put in the time. And so I coach people that are wanting to get into doing what I do. They want to syndicate deals. They want to raise money and buy these big multifamily deals. And they start off really excited. And I wanted to ask a question. How many boys your age do you think bought a tee? And probably very few. But I bet you there was a few that did. They said, I'm going to practice. I'm going to hit those balls every day. And maybe they did for a few days. But you're obviously one of the only ones that stuck with it and actually put in the time. And so, number 1, to be great, you've got to start at some point, but you got to stick with it too. Yeah. And you have to put in the time. So I coach these students, and one by one, I'll get them. And for the first few weeks, they're looking at deals, they're putting in the time, they're analyzing deals, and they get mad because after looking at a few 3, 4, 5 deals, they haven't found a home run. They haven't found a good deal. And then I laugh at them like you're laughing. And I'm like, dude, to do my first deal, I think I underwrote and ran the numbers on like 200 deals.
Right.
And it was like over 6 months of pounding and grinding. And I already been doing real estate for 9 years. So it's not a sprint. You got to consistently hit those balls every single day. It's about consistency and earning what you want, what you eventually want to receive, which is that all-star team or the college baseball scholarship or playing in the pros. And it's amazing that people won't play the numbers game and they won't stick to it.
No, I mean, the thing is again, you're right. How many kids have actually done that? Right. How many kids, none of them. And you want to know the truth is because a lot of those kids were gifted at a very young age. They were just bigger. They were just stronger. Right. They got away with shitty technique at a young age. So
Yep.
when the size and technique actually meet up in those like 16, 17, 18, 19, 20-year-old range, and your technique is bad because you didn't have to, because you got away with it for so long, eventually it runs out, right? Eventually you lose out because I've never put in the time, energy, or effort, right? It's all duplicatable. Everything that you're talking about, same thing. I see it again in the real estate world, especially, is people want this like instant success, right?
Yep.
Is that they see a guy like you who's done these deals and made this, and they go, oh yeah, I want that, right? But they haven't seen is the thousands of deals that you've looked at, right? The thousands of hours that go into getting that one deal that you get to call a home run. How many times did I swing and miss? How many times did I make an out before you catch that one and it's out of the park? Right? So many, man. Like, again, it's countless failure, but it's not failure, right? People, we use that word way too loosely today.
Not a bad thing.
No, it's actually the best thing that can possibly happen to you. Yeah. The best thing that ever happened to me was not making that team. The best thing that's ever happened to me was having to work for every ounce of what I got. Right. Yeah. And if you're willing, like, there's nothing that I want people to understand this today. As you fast forward your life, right? And you say, okay, I was a professional baseball player. Oh shit. Then he went on to play, to the CrossFit games. And then he went to ran a business. I mean, last year, our office had the best year in the history of the office, right? Valencia, California, Southern California was in the midst of a pandemic. We did 513 million. We did 918 transactions, right? Huge. Best ever in the history of our company. And I'm proud of those people. I'm proud of what we've done like crazy. I'm so excited for what's happening now because the momentum is just on, man, and it's going, right?
That's awesome.
But again, it's the same things. It's like, okay, let's get out the tee. Who's willing to go hit off of that tee, right? Because everybody wants the game. Everybody wants the deal. Everybody wants they want the result. Mm-hmm. But are you really, truly willing to put in the work? And I'll say it this way. Even for me today, those things were all learned, but that kid, that guy, that baseball player, that whatever, that guy's not even good enough. He can't even sit in my chair today. He would get his ass kicked. If I'm not in a constant form of getting better, that's what I want the listener to understand is that we might talk about those days or whatever. I don't look at those as the glory days. Those aren't the glory days. Dude, that shit's done and gone. There's nothing I can do about it. Right. The best is still yet to come, my friend. I'm not even scratching the surface of what I want to leave, the impact that I want to have and leave in this world. Right. The charity and the things that I want to do is bring to this world. The platform that we're building with Optimal Self is to truly give people that outlet to say, look, stop trying to be what everybody else wants you to be. Because again, even my own parents were, as we go on, what's funny is when you're like 6, 7, and 8, and you're like, what are you going to do when you grow up? And you're like, I want to be a baseball player. They're like, okay, they think it's great. Pat you on the ass. Go get them, kid. Right. Mm-hmm. When you're 15, 16, 17, you're like, I'm gonna be a baseball player. And they're like, hey bro, you might need a plan B.
You got a plan B?
Like, it's not so cute anymore, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's not so cute. But what people don't understand is they see this one game, because there's plenty of times you went out there, went 0 for 3, struck out twice, made an error. You're like, fuck, today that was a shitty day, right?
I was going to ask you what your batting average was.
Then you turn around, that year, my senior year, I hit 478, which was the best in the league that year. And you're talking about guys that went on to have way better, even major league career, professional careers, even than I did. I mean, because I'll be honest, like, let's be clear. Baseball was an absolute 100% failure for me, because my goal was to be a 20-year major leaguer, go into the Hall of Fame. That's all I did. I never had a job because that's all I did. Well, I didn't even sniff an ounce of that. Right. Yes, I got to play for the Red. Yes, I got to play for but it's not even it was nothing, zero. Like as far as that radar goes, I didn't even get close to any of that. Right. So based on goal terms, it's a complete failure because you didn't reach it. But here's the truth. What would have been a failure is not making the attempt, not having that goal, not putting in those hours, because you know what it taught me? It taught me that I absolutely positively, even when I'm not the best or good enough yet right now, that I can get good enough. I can at anything. Yeah. I never ran a real estate company before. Never. I wasn't put on this earth to run a real estate company. I know when I started in real estate, I knew jack shit about real estate. Right? Like I was surprised that I passed the damn test. I was like, what? I looked at that. I was like, holy shit, really? They're going to let me do this? Okay, cool. Like I knew nothing, but I'm always willing to learn. I'm always willing to learn. And if those people listening and doing the syndication or flipping or whatever it is, building some wealth, building a portfolio within real estate, it's not about the first deal. It's not about the first thing you look at, right? Mm-hmm. It's about, am I willing to keep learning as it goes, right?
Learning from every deal and every deal you don't do. And
the deals you don't do are probably even more learning, and somebody like you, right? Picking, making sure that it's the right deal. When we have this money invested and we have these investors and we have, a board to fall, that we got to report to, is that, again, it falls into line with this is you've got to be the best version of you, right? That's right. What I focus on today. Today, I know that I don't have all the answers. I don't. And a lot of times, most of us don't know what the outcome's going to be. Right. It's we can point in the right direction. We kind of have an idea, but we don't know. But what I do know is if I'm the best version of me, if I'm making decisions that are in alignment with who I want to be, we call it self-synergy. And I'll give it self-synergy is this. It's when your thoughts, your words, and your actions are in alignment. You see, most people don't do it. They don't get in alignment. And then that's when decision-making becomes hard. See, we make decision-making hard is because we don't fucking commit to shit. We don't say, nope, this is all I'm going to do. When I was 18, 16, 17, 18 years old, and my buddies were out drinking beer and smoking weed behind the bleachers, right? And staying out all night.
Yeah, I didn't do it. The bleachers.
I didn't do it.
Right.
I just didn't. And you know what? What's cool about those guys, and they're still my friends today, is that it's not like they were like peer pressure. Come on, yo, you know what I mean? They knew. I had already, because I was so committed to who I was and what I wanted, that the people around you go, they don't even ask anymore, right?
You know what's funny about that is I got really annoyed last year. I saw on Facebook my good fishing buddies were all on this golf trip down in Phoenix, and I didn't even get an invite.
Right.
And I'm telling one of my partners, Michael, about this. I'm like, man, like what a bunch of jerks, man. They're hitting like 5 different courses. They're having a blast. And he's like, well, why didn't they invite you? I'm like, well, they know I wouldn't go because I have huge goals.
Right.
And then I wasn't annoyed anymore, but
that's the truth though. Right.
They know I'm not going to go. They know I'm going to work, and they don't have huge goals. They want to golf, and nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that at all. I just have huge goals. But I want to talk about a little bit the story that I wanted to share, which is ties in so well with your baseball story and then your company, Optimal Self, building yourself. Two stories that personally I'm very proud of. One of them is hitting seven figures in income. And when I started in real estate, my goal was to get to $100,000 a year in income. And I grew up poor. I was like, man, that would be amazing. I would be set if someday I could just make $100,000 a year. I hit it my second year in real estate. I was like, damn, this is cool. I was increasing my income by 50,000 a year every year. But what I did is I got into coaching. I found a coach like you, and I started working on myself. And I realized I'm not, and I've never been the best. I've never been the most talented. I've always known that I had to work harder than the talented guys and be more consistent than them. And that was the first time in my life I started focusing on myself and my personal attributes, my personality, the way I treated others, the way I thought about myself. And in 2013, I made a goal. I said, I want to make $1 million a year in real estate. 100,000 was no longer a lot of money to me. And I wrote at the top of this notebook. I went to these trainings 4 times a year. The top of every single page in every notebook for 5 years, I wrote, make $1 million per year. And I had set a goal to do it in 2018. And in 2018, I made 1.2. And absolutely mind blowing from a kid that was 24, just wanting to make 100,000 a year in real estate. And the journey that I went on improving myself. And I thought I was improving myself so I could make a bunch of money and be rich. And that was my naive, young thought. You can help a lot more people the more money you make. And there's been a lot of fun things we've been able to do. But what I really realized this last year, and you know the story a little bit, was surprised around Thanksgiving with my wife walking out on me and the kids and throwing her hands up saying she was done being a mom and a wife. And I realized that I didn't hit those giant goals only to become wealthy and make a bunch of money. I really needed that last November when shit hit the fan. And, I presented in Costa Rica and I said, I chose the right team. I've become the best person I possibly can. I'm not done by any means, but I can only imagine how crazy life would have been doing these big deals or not improving myself and not taking the time for the last 11 years to focus on being a better person, and then have that thing come up in November that was devastating and crazy. And I was just focusing on taking care of my kids and being a good dad. And I feel fantastic right now. It's weird. Everyone's like, wow, they apologize when they see me. And I haven't told very many people at all. Now it's on a podcast, I guess. But they apologize and oh, that must be so hard. I'm like, oh, yeah, it's hard, but life is so good because I'm so focused on taking this really hard time in my life and learning how to make the next 10, 11 years amazing and fantastic. And that is right now my only goal is learn from it. It sucks, embrace the suck, figure out what I did wrong, what I can improve. And just like your mom told you, what are you going to do about it? And it's weird. The divorce isn't final. My kids are doing better. I'm doing better. So things are looking up, but I'm not even close to being done with my divorce. And I feel fantastic because I have all these new goals and I'm excited to push. And my goal is to get to $1 billion in real estate holdings and and at that same time, I'm going to be a stay-at-home dad and raise my kids. And so I'm putting in the time and I've always been willing to work hard, but I was so excited as soon as you spoke in Costa Rica, I was like, I got to have that guy on my podcast. He's going to help so many of my listeners. Personally, you helped me. I love the stuff you say, but just talk a little bit more about why it's so important for people, if they want to be successful in business, why they have to work on themselves.
Wow. So, well, you're a spitting image. I mean, if there's a blueprint, man, like there's so much that you said right there that I think I want to touch on a little bit, and I'll answer this question specifically. Well, I'll answer the question specifically is your business grows to the extent that you do. That doesn't happen the other way around. People think, oh, I'm going to go make $1 million and then I'm going to work. No, it doesn't happen that way. You have to get better. Think about it this way. Every next level of your life requires a new you. So for me, right, leaving baseball and getting into to real estate and all that is it was all new. I was a rookie again. I was brand new again. I had to figure out what is the T for this particular industry. What is that?
Got to put in
right?
the hours again.
I got to find them. I got to figure it out. The level of awareness of seeing it, right? Looking at different angles and how can we be successful? It takes a new level of me. My next goals, just like you did, the next goal is also going to take a new me. It means I have to learn something different. I have to work on me. And the thing that people get caught up in is it's not drastic changes. It's the small, minute thing that you don't think that matters, right? It's what you consume on a regular basis. And when I say consumption, everybody thinks about what you put in your mouth, but that's not what I'm talking. That's part of it. It absolutely is part of it. I'm talking about what you listen to, talking about what you watch, talking about who you're associating with, what words are they using. And the one that most people don't pay attention to is the internal narrative, the words I use. Because there's a lot of people out there, and you know this coaching, that the words that they use to themselves, they would never say to somebody else. Would you say that to your child? You're like, oh, no, never. Well, wait a minute. Yeah. Why would you say that? Why are you putting yourself? And here's the thing, Sam, is that a lot of internal narrative, a lot of those limiting beliefs, a lot of those things that are holding people back are not really our words. They're things that were said at different points of our lives that we now have adopted as our own. But hear what I just said. Yeah. We have adopted other people's beliefs, other people's ideals, other people's ideas, and now we're using them as our own. Well, the beauty of that is we can also change that. That is, ladies and gentlemen, if you hear anything today, listen to this. Life is not about finding yourself. It's not. They're bullshitting you. Life is about creating yourself.
Wow. I love that.
Every single day you get to write a new chapter, a new page in the life of Sam, in the life of Jeremy, in the life of the listener who's hearing this right now. And what most end up doing is we hit a point in our lives where we don't think we can get any better. We don't think we can get smarter. We don't think we can lose the weight. We don't think we can make more money. We've hit that. And some are just in a comfort zone, and that's not bad. But I want people to understand is that you don't, every single day, if we're writing this beautiful book, have the last in every day, let's make it easy. Every year is a page. Yeah. And you look back and the last 5 years are exactly the same. Right? And then you're wondering why things haven't changed. Well, it's because I haven't changed. I wonder why, you business owners, you real estate people, I wonder why my business hasn't gotten better, because you haven't gotten better. You haven't. You haven't instituted anything new. You're still going, you're not progressively being able to add new things to your business where people see you as the vehicle to their success.
Absolutely.
When you're going to do this business, you want to raise money to build other people's portfolios, and you want to do the things that Sam's doing, or anybody, is that they have to see you as the vehicle to their success. That means I have to be doing things constantly to getting better, to forward thinking, to making sure, right? Mm-hmm. How do we go from literally 2020 being the best year in the history of our country and of our company, and our country was under lockdown for how many, right? LA County is where we're at. It's still bad out here.
It's still crazy.
Like we just a few weeks ago became capacity just a couple weeks ago.
Wow.
But so imagine if we tried to live the way we lived the year we had to adopt, right? We had to adopt the new way. We had to adapt to the new rules so that we could flourish. You have to adopt, adapt, and flourish. You can't just sit. If you're sitting still, we are living organisms, just like the plant in your house, just like the trees. We humans are a living organism. Okay. Mm-hmm. Which means one of two things. It's either growing or dying. There is no status quo. There is no status quo, right? You're either growing or dying. Which one is it? What are you putting inside yourself? What are you actually eating? What are you consuming? Is it building you forward, or is it stuck to my past? That's the biggest thing that I think people get caught up in. I mean, how many times, again, somebody sees me and they go, "Oh man, you're in really great shape. Like that's what I used to look like in high school." You know what I say? I go, "Bullshit. No, you didn't. No, you didn't. Because it's not by accident. You know what I mean? Right, like you might've been a little bit slimmer for sure.
Yeah.
But unless you were doing something in training and eating, whatever. But the only reason why you don't have that today, whatever it is you want, is because you just don't work at it. You don't. Yeah. That's it. It's the only difference. I'm not special. There's nothing special about me. Nothing. There wasn't special in baseball. You know what I learned? I learned how to play baseball great. I did get a little bit faster. I did get a little bit stronger. All those things happen. And as I got a little bit older, so technique and size started to catch up. So now my technique actually mattered, right? And I was a little bit stronger. So things got a little better. Same thing today, right? When I don't know, I look for learn. I want to learn. Who is it? How can I do it? Same reason. I love that you have coaching clients. That tells me a lot about those people because they're willing to learn. How many people are like, "Oh, I want to do it," but they're not willing to invest in themselves. Right? How many of you guys are listening right now that are like, "Oh, but that's really expensive." What do you mean? Because there's a difference between cost and invest. And how many of us treat ourselves as a cost? We go, "Oh, the gym, shit, that's going to cost me X amount." No, it's not.
Going to make you money.
It's an investment in you. You are making an investment in you. How great is that? Like, find me the things that I can invest in me. Oh man, I'm in all the time. I'm like, and something that you said that I wanted to touch on too is, going through what you went through is building what you have built allowed you the space. Right. Because if you were paycheck to paycheck and you were struggling or was it dual income and we were living beyond our means, right. Mm-hmm. And that happens, man, I feel for that guy. And there's people out there that happens to. I feel for you, brother. Like I do, you had created some space so that you could allocate time to be okay, to figure it out, to keep working on yourself, to saying, okay, what do I need to do? Well, I need to be the greatest dad that can be. The real estate stuff, we're going to do that. Yeah. But first and foremost, I got to be the best dad that I possibly can be. What is that? So what does that guy do? What time does that guy get up in the morning? How does that guy talk? How does he comb his hair? How does he hygiene? How does he we lose sight of these things, right? Imagine if every day you people listening right now, you said, okay, what can I do today? Control the controllables. Okay. What am I in control of? I'm in control of being the best version of myself. Really, that's literally what it's called. The art of becoming the best version of you. That's what optimal self is. And we say, okay, what does the best version of you do? What time does that guy get up? What does that guy eat for breakfast? How does he hydrate? What's the first thing that goes into his system, right? What is it? What does he listen to? What does he watch? Because if you start writing that down, I guarantee you, he doesn't lay in bed till noon. He doesn't get up and eat a bowl of Captain Crunch while he's watching Netflix.
Let me tell you this. I woke my kids up at 5:15 today. They're 7 and 3, and I drug them to the gym. I didn't have a babysitter this morning. Sometimes I do. And they watched their iPads while I played basketball for an hour and a half to get my cardio in.
Yeah.
So at 5:30, we got there, and 5:30 till 7 a.m., I'm sweating, running hard, getting my gym workout, and they're sitting there, the only kids at the gym, no one else brings their kids, but I'm a single dad. What else am I going to do?
Yeah.
So this morning started at 5:15 with my kids. And I love what you're saying, because as soon as shit hit the fan in November, I bought books on divorce, and how to be a good dad through a divorce. And I was telling a girl that I've been going out with, I will never, like, I'm too nerdy not to give 110% at anything I do. So if there's something that's challenging me, like fly fishing, I became super with my buddy famous on Instagram for fly fishing. We dropped it because it's too time consuming, not part of my big goals. But I became an amazing fly fisherman because I'm so obsessed with learning. I'm an amazing dad, and I can say that confidently because guess what? I bought the books, I read, I took classes, I have a therapist, and I specifically analyze how was I this last week at being a dad. Oh, you know what? I lost my temper a little bit much. They
Mm.
weren't listening. The dudes, they were hellions this week, but I got to be better. And so, I will never be okay with the status quo, and I'll never not be trying to grow. And at basketball, I mean, I'm 36. I didn't play college ball. I wasn't good enough. But I'm still trying to improve my game. It's church ball, man. We play at 5:30 a couple times a week. Like we're not that good. I can dunk still, thankfully, but that's about it. I can shoot the ball. I'm a way better shooter than I was a year, 2 years ago because I made the conscious effort. And so I love what you said about building yourself. I don't know if you've read the book Psycho-Cybernetics,
I'm not.
but really quick, I want to tell a story, and our listeners should read it. And obviously, I want our listeners to reach out to you because I think you're a fantastic coach, and it would help a lot of people. But it's a story about a plastic surgeon who became a therapist. Because what he noticed is Jeremy, if you were in a car accident and you busted your nose and you got this big old scar, maybe you don't like the way you look. You go into him and he fixes your nose perfectly. He gets rid of that scar. And what he would notice is half of the people would be very happy with the result. The other half would say, well, no, I still don't like the way I look. Even though to anybody else, no one could tell that they had broken their nose and had a big old scar on their cheek. No one could tell they were in a car accident. It was the mental picture that they had that they could not get rid of. And so he helped people start changing their internal thought process about themselves. And that's the only way I became a great dad and a seven-figure producing real estate agent, and now raising $19 million last year. I'm not where I want to be, but I picture myself as highly, highly worthy of what I'm doing and the
Mm.
success I'm receiving. And I've got a mental picture of where I want to be, but I'm not disappointed of where I'm at. And so I'm trying to get better. Um, but the best thing about the last 10, 11 years of my career is the confidence and the growth and the belief in myself that I've created. And again, that was why I was so excited to have you on the show, because that's what you talk about. That's what you preach. You want
Man,
people to believe in themselves.
you said so much, right? First of all, let's go with what you just finished with, which was you became confident, but you earned the right. People think that's the only way to have confidence. There's no other way. There's no other way to get confidence is if without earning it. There isn't. It just doesn't happen. You're just, you can try to fake it on the outside, but it won't happen. You
Yeah.
will, you know what I'm saying? On internally. When we talk about confidence, I'm talking about that internal confidence. I'm talking about arrogance. I'm not talking about being an asshole. I'm talking about truly, truly, truly being confident in what I've done. And the reason is because I've put in the work, and I know that I'm going to continue to put in the work. That's one thing. But it was something else you said that I think is really important, and I want the listener to get is how you are here is how you are everywhere. And here's what I want to tell you. I had this kid that I was coaching, an office in between some of the stuff that I was doing. This guy said, "Hey, will you come coach our office?" And so I did this quick little 3-month thing, 90 days with his group, and put it all in place. And one of these, and actually a couple of them reached out to me after and said, "Hey, can I keep coaching with you?" I said, "Sure, no problem." This kid, 24 years old, new to the business, right? Just like really good kid, got kicked out of his house when he was turned 18, been on his own, just wanting to make it, right? You know these guys, right? And there's probably
Yeah.
people listening right now that were this kid. And about a couple months in, he was doing well. We were building some stuff. We were getting his pipeline built, and getting all his marketing, and all the things that it takes to really truly start building his own brand, right? The things that we coach and teach to. And he calls me one day and he says, "Hey, I'm not sure if you're going to want to coach me anymore. I might need to step away." And I said, "Are you leaving real estate?" And he said, "No." He said, no, real estate's still what I want to do. And I said, then why wouldn't we keep coaching? And he said, well, like, I've lived on my own, and, bills are starting to mount up, and I need to get a job. I need to make some money. And I said, okay, so what are you going to do? What are you going to do about it? He said, well, I applied for a job and I got a job at Staples. And I said, okay. And he's like, so I get it. I'm not the full-time. I got a job. So if you don't want, I said, I don't give a shit about that. I said, if you're staying in real estate and you want to coach with me, we'll do it on one condition and one condition only. And of course he was like, dude, whatever. What? Yeah. I said, okay, listen to me. I said, I understand your situation and I understand where you're at. And you stepping into that role and going to work and making some money to fend for yourself. Love it, man. I'm proud of you.
Yeah.
But here's the deal. Whatever you do, whatever Staples ask you to do, you do it to the best that it's ever been done. So if they ask you to sweep the floor, you get that mop and you be the best damn sweeper they have ever seen in their lives. You make sure everything, you create new ways to sweep that floor, new angles, new things, right? They ask you to stack computers 3 a.m. and you're like, wait, I don't want you going. No, well, what about Joe? Joe split. No. They asked you to do it. You be the best damn computer stacker they've ever seen. You make new ways to label it and be it that it's more efficient and better. Find ways, do it the best that it can possibly be. And he said, what I said, because how you are here is how you are everywhere. If you go there and you're just trying to get a paycheck, you're just biding your time. You're out back smoking a joint with the other dude that's there, just biding his time, hoping to get a paycheck on Friday. Right. How you are here is how you are everywhere. You half-ass it over there, you're going to come back to me in real estate and you're going to half-ass it over here. There is no such thing as a switch. We don't have a switch. You can't go, oh, I'm going to be half-ass over here. Oh, over here, I'm going to be great. Oh, no, over here, I'm going to be really great. No, that's not how it works. That's not how it works. How you are here is how you are everywhere. The choices that you make, you're going to make. You have the control over that. I said, if you bust your ass there, and I've done this with people. I've had people come to me that have jobs that are like, hey, I need to make more money. I'm like, can you make more money in your job? Well, if I get this, and I go, okay, well, listen, here's what I'm going to tell you. There are so many people that started as the damn janitor, as the front desk person that now own the company. You want to know why? Because when they were the front desk person, they were the best damn front desk person in the history of the company. And then they said, well, why don't you be this? Okay. And then they did that and they were the best in the history of the company. And then they said this. It doesn't matter what you do. It matters how you do it. That's where doors open. The doors open when you do what you do, whatever that is right now. Do it the best that it's ever been done in the history of the company, and watch what happens. Watch what happens to your life, because it will roll over, right? It'll roll over into every aspect. Yeah. You can't, again, that's what you see, man. Like I told you this pre-show, I'm like, bro, what you see is what you get. Like, I don't have another way. I don't have another gear. This is it. This is just me. Yep. Some will love it. Some will hate it. That's okay. It's okay. But I'll tell you this, if I'm going and I tell you I'm going to do it, I only got one speed, man. I only got one speed that. And I can't do it. Do you remember us in Costa Rica and the dudes were going to, I don't remember if you went to play golf or not, but they were going to, some of the guys got together and went to play golf. Yeah. They're like, hey, you should come with us, man. It's great. And I was like, I know myself. Like, you know what I mean? We're on vacation. Yep. We're out with the, like it's a bunch of dudes that I just met, most of you, you know what I mean? Like, it was like, and I know myself. I'm like, I'm going to go to freaking win. Like you know what I mean? Like, and I'm like, yeah, no, you know what?
I think we had a lot of fun at the pool that day.
Yeah, we went to the pool. I'm like, I'm going to go hang out at the pool and just chill for a little bit. I'm going to give a little chill side, take a little advantage of this great workspace that we're using to also have a little vacation too. But I hope people understand that. Like I want to make sure the listener gets benefit from what you and our conversation. And I want to make sure that they know that, when we talk about like anything is possible, it is, it
really is,
but it's over time. It's consistency to the actions. It's understanding that you are worthy. You've said this a couple times today. You are worthy and capable. It's just a matter of just putting in that work. That voice in your head, we all have it. Sam has doubt. I have doubt.
Yep.
There are days where I'm like, oh shit, I don't know. Right. Like, but then I just go back to the fact is like, all right, just put in the work, man. Are you willing to put in the work? And if I'm willing to put in the work, then I'm like, okay, I'll let the results speak for themselves. There's nothing greater, right? The only way I sleep at night is I know that today, that day, I gave it everything. And if I do, man, I am out like a light. You know what I mean? But when if I go through a day and I half-ass it, I will think back to that moment and be like, okay, damn it. I should have done this, or I should have done that, or I should have said this, or did I put in enough time? You know what I mean? Like you start to question some things. Yeah. And that's because we're human. But if we can have more of those days where again, it's not a switch. Just be who you need to be. Be in self-synergy. Thoughts, words, and actions are in alignment. Make sure. And if it's not, if it goes off this way, nope. That's why. That decision is easy to make, right? Your decision the times that you said no to the guys going golfing and on this trip because I have this, right? Is it I think it was Steve Jobs who said, he's more, I mean, you're talking about a guy that changed the world. Like the way that we live today, your phone, like literally changed the world. And he said, I'm way more proud of the things that we said no to than what we've actually created. That's an amazing thought, man, because that is a true story of successful people. Is you got to say no to a lot of good shit to have great. Yeah. You got to be willing to say no to good so that you can have great, and you all deserve it for sure.
I love it, man. A lot of great info there, a lot of great content. Thank you so much. We're out of time, but I think we ought to have you on again because that was fantastic. And one thing I just wanted to say is it was really, I mean, we only got to know each other for 3-4 days, but really great to get to know you. And I can tell you're an authentic, true person. And I can vouch for it. I can tell that you do everything 110%. You have one speed. And I love that because I have one speed as well. It's 1,000 miles an hour. That's my one speed.
I know. I raced ATVs with you through Costa Rica.
That was fun. But what I do want to say is I'm going to have your email, your phone number, your website on the show notes. I really want people to reach out to you, especially if they're trying to make it in real estate or any other industry. I think you'd be a fantastic coach for them. That's why I had you on here. Would love for them to reach out to you. So I'm going to put it in the show notes, but how do people get a hold of you? What's the best way to get a hold of you?
It's just like you said, man, it's optimalself.today. Everything's there. You can reach me, again, DM me on any, on any of the platforms, Instagram, Facebook, we're everywhere. And again, this platform is built to help people become the best version of themselves. And, real estate is our forte, but, it doesn't matter what you do. It doesn't matter where you're at. We'll be love to have you part of the platform, part of, the ecosystem. And because we learn from each other, man, you know what I'm saying? This isn't, I want people to know this isn't my version of what the best version is. It's your version. I have my own, and we want everybody to have their own. You're all unique. Everybody has their own fingerprint, right? Right. Internally, we have our own song, man. And if you and I talking to people, if you and I can get together and we can have these conversations, what my goal always is that every single person that hears this gets to sing that song. Don't go to that grave with that song inside of you, man. We need to hear it. Let's bring it to the world, man. So thank you, Sam.
I love it. I love it. We're going to have all the links in the show notes. I also want to push your podcast. You've got a podcast. I've been listening to it. A lot of great content. I left your review, by the way.
Thank you.
And I think it's fantastic. So I'll be pushing that for you as well. Jeremy, thanks for being on. I'm really excited to have this show air here in the next week or so. Cool. Yeah, just appreciate you taking the time.
Man, love it, buddy. Look forward to many, many more with you.